This is Donald J. Trump. You've probably heard of him. He's the 45th and 47th President of the United States, and quite possibly the most divisive figure in human history, polarizing the globe with ravenous sycophants on one side and well-adjusted humans that subscribe to logic and sense on the other. But for the sake of this video, we're going to leave all the culture war garbage to the side, something I think as a society we could do a lot more often. No, in this video, we're going to simply focus on the 9 top grifts we've seen from DJT or his family in the last 12 months. They've been very busy, taking every opportunity to deepen their pockets, so this is by no means a comprehensive list. Think of it more as a, now that's what I call grifting, 2025 album of greatest hits from the year. And we'll also take a stab at his estimated personal earnings, so not what the whole project is worth, but what the Trump family personally stands to gain. Let's get into it. We're going to start with not the biggest earning ploy of the year, but possibly one of the more well-known scams. The most public example of how easy it is to ingratiate yourself into the Trump administration's good standing, even if your country is synonymous with human rights violations, perhaps. The plane. We all know it. It's a fully kitted out super luxury Boeing 747 with an estimated worth of $400 million. The plane is being generously donated to the United States as a modern replacement for the aging Air Force One. Doesn't seem at all like a breach of national security to have the commander-in-chief flying around in a foreign state's plane that they built and outfitted with God knows what. But that's not even the biggest concern. Sure, the plane functions for public service while Trump is in office, taking him all over the world as Air Force One typically does. But then once he's out of office, the plane is destined for his, quote, presidential library, which is ironic as the man can barely read. But it's also just rich guy tax evader speak for, that's my freaking plane to use however I want. So for the guy that claims to love America so much, to take Air Force One with him when he leaves, pretty whack. Anyway, sure, the plane is new, valued at $400 million, but on the used market, estimates for the plane would be in the neighborhood of $150 million. That's the value we might attribute to the Trump family as it sunsets civil service and heads into the Trump family estate, with an estimated earnings then for the Trump family somewhere between $150 to $400 million, depending on how you want to look at it. This next one is probably the biggest grift that affects the most people, the tariff scheme. Positioned as a bargaining chip to renegotiate trade deals, the tariff plan has been a bad faith extortion plan where the U.S. throws its economic weight around the globe to coerce foreign nations to what exactly? That's the thing. He imposed all these tariffs broadly without saying what he wants from these countries. Used precisely and in a targeted manner, tariffs can protect domestic markets, labor, etc. But painting with this broad brush does two things. It increases the price of goods the American people will buy, which he's clearly not losing much sleep over, but it also forces countries to the table to try to negotiate against themselves in an effort to reduce or remove the tariffs that he imposed willy-nilly. The result is a lot of ego stroking and a lot of lavish gift giving. So all the stuff we buy is getting more expensive. All our allies and trade partners are pissed at us, and domestic markets are struggling or completely unable to sell their goods overseas, so we're less competitive on the global stage. Also, Trump can get a trophy from Apple. But wait, there's more. There's also blatant stock market manipulation. Here's how it looks. Step 1. Trump and his cronies pull their money from the market as the market's at a high. Step 2. Trump announces sweeping tariffs and the markets tank. Step 3. Trump and his cronies reinvest at the new artificially low market rate. Step 4. Trump says, just kidding, no tariffs now, and the market explodes back up. Step 5. Trump insiders sit back and collect untold wealth. All of this is happening, and all of those people are stacking insane wealth while working people that can't afford to play the market anyway are getting laid off. Their businesses are suffering, and their cost of living balloons. Seems totally fair. Estimated earnings? No one knows. Certainly millions, could be billions. This next one is comprised of many, many projects happening in a number of different countries, from Vietnam to Saudi Arabia to Turkey. Many of these projects are real estate deals and licensing deals. Luxury hotels being built in the Middle East, golf courses being built in Vietnam. Some owned by the Trump family with an equity stake in the project, some a simple licensing deal. Like the golf thing in Vietnam, where they paid the Trump family $50 million just to put their name on the place. As far as we can keep track, there are projects in at least 9 countries. Many are facilitated by the world's most lucrative son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who has brokered so many of these Middle East deals. This could be a whole video in itself, but we'll keep it brief here. But estimated earnings are somewhere north of $1.4 billion. This next one has to do with suing everyone and their mom. Now, it's natural and healthy to have hobbies. It's good for you. It gets you out of the house. It gives you something to put your energy into. I mean, I like hiking and snowboarding, healthy hobbies. Donald Trump, on the other hand, seems to just love suing people. At every turn, he's threatening to sue someone. The truth is, a lot of these cases get dismissed, or he loses. Not that you'd ever hear him say that. And if he did, it was just a crooked judge, or it was a witch hunt, or the jury was a bunch of radical left lunatics. The classics. But the most litigious president in history has made a habit of eroding our faith in journalism and our relationship to the truth as a whole by screaming fake news and suing anyone that says anything remotely bad about him. To date, he's sued ABC for $15 million. He's sued Mark Zuckerberg's Meta for $22 million. His best friend Elon Musk, he's sued his company X for $10 million. CBS and Paramount, one of the global powerhouses in media, sued for $16 million. And that's messed up, yes. But the most ridiculous stunt of all, he's suing the United States government for $230 million. How do you make America great again by suing it into the ground? How bad does it look that the president of the country is suing his own country that he's running? He's upset about the 2016 claims that he's a Russian asset. Yeah, okay. And he's upset that they went through Mar-a-Lago and actually found classified documents. That's like getting mad and suing the cops for them searching your house with a warrant and finding heroin. And the kicker is, the attorneys that would sign off on a settlement on behalf of the U.S., the government, the people, us, are 2 of Trump's former defense lawyers, and then it goes across his own desk. So what do you think? Will he get the money? Estimated earnings, $230 million. This next one goes hand in hand with the whole suing everyone thing. It costs money to sue people. At least it does if you're not Donald Trump. If you are Trump, you just get donors like corporations and private citizens to cover your legal fees. Normally, you can't do this, but true to form, Trump and his crooked band of bums has found a loophole to use PAC money to cover his personal legal fees. I will give the man credit. The system is rigged. His messaging on that is correct. He's just not unrigging it. He's re-rigging it for himself and his allies. Estimated manipulated PAC money around $127 million. So not exactly earnings, but potentially savings. This next one is kind of funny because it's a Don Jr. project. He wanted to cash in on his last name's clout by creating an exclusive club in D.C. called the Executive Branch. Think of it in the spirit of a satellite office to Mar-a-Lago, where you buy membership to the club and then you get access to whatever you want, I imagine. Use your imagination, I guess. Membership is rumored to be about $500,000, insane, or something like that. But the rumors also say that it's kind of flopping, which again is just kind of funny because it's Don Jr. Estimated earnings somewhere between $0 and $40 million. Speaking of nightmare blunt rotations, apparently new patrons of Mar-a-Lago are getting gouged for membership. It's reported that preterm memberships to Mar-a-Lago were around $100,000. The way these clubs work, you pay an upfront fee to join the club, and that was $100,000. But now, since he's been in term 2, they've jacked it up 10x to $1 million to join Mar-a-Lago. This grift, unlike Don Jr.'s, has been successful, to the tune of estimated earnings of around $125 million. And this next one is certainly the most Hollywood, high-production, ritzy grift, very fitting for Melania. Amazon MGM is going to try and squeeze out an interesting documentary about one of the least interesting people in the public eye. The trailer just dropped, and so much of it is just B-roll and environment footage around Melania with a little voiceover. Now, knowing a little bit about the media, I have an idea or a ballpark of how much producing this doc should cost, and it is nowhere near the $40 million budget it was sold at. And that's probably because Melania is taking home $28 million of that $40 million budget, which then puts her in 2025's top 10 highest earning actresses of the year. Think about that. Estimated earnings, $28 million. And this last one is easily the biggest and most elusive to try to tamp down. It's very difficult to explain and even more difficult to estimate earnings from. At a high level, the Trump family, through World Liberty Financial and Trump Media/Truth Social, has pushed for the deregulation of the crypto market. They've minted meme coins and Frankensteined a media organization into a machine for wealth generation. It started back in the day with Trump NFTs. There's been some stablecoin thing, the Saudis are involved, there's American Bitcoin, the Hut 8 thing, there's a Trump meme coin, there's a Melania meme coin, and then there's the Trump media crypto transition. All in, we're not talking about things in millions anymore. This is a multi-billion-dollar racket. Estimated earnings are volatile due to market fluctuations, but you can estimate over $2 billion. I'd also like to give a little shout out or an honorable mention, the old reliable The Merch. This one isn't a new thing, so it's not exactly a full-fledged member of this list, but we should talk about The Merch. This is probably the most old school, most resource intensive, and least profitable grift of them all, which is a shocking thing to say about $800 shoes that somehow seem to be worse quality than your typical Malaysian sweatshop fare. But yes, watches, shoes, fragrances, the book, the Bible, all the hats and shirts. He even set up a gift shop in the White House that he makes foreign leaders leave the Oval Office through. This is shameful, it is tacky, and it is embarrassing, and estimated earnings from it around $28 million. Now, this is all pretty gross, and what should be considered beneath the office. I mean, this is way worse than wearing a tan suit, and yet no outrage from right-wing media. The one silver lining is a lot of these scams are being propped up by MAGA, or foreign money, or big corporations bending the knee. The crypto thing, the international real estate, the plane, the PAC money, the exclusive clubs, the documentary, and of course the merch. He's just bleeding his supporters dry there. But there are nationwide scams that hurt every single American, like the tariffs, and suing the frickin' country. Who do you think is on the hook for that bill? Us, the taxpayers. So, from their financial planners' eyes, the Trump family has had a pretty banner year. Being president has never been so lucrative. I'll be very curious to see what creative and controversial schemes we see in 2026. Until then, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.